Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon, wherever you are in the world, and welcome to the Infinite Way where spirituality meets humanity. And it brings me great pleasure to introduce to you James Munyao, the 2023 and 2024 National Education for Sustainable Development and Global Citizenship Education top awardee in Kenya, and is a leading figure of ESD and GCED, which are the awards I just announced to you. He serves as the ECD and GCD resource person for the Kenyan Commission for UNESCO and is the Africa Youth Leadership and Development Advisor at Leaders of All Nations International. Academically, James holds a Bachelor's of Arts in Communications and Sociology from the University of Nairobi and is pursuing his Master's in Global Ministry Design at Southeastern University of Lakeland, Florida. Additionally, he holds a professional postgraduate diploma in community leadership from Alongsiders International, Cambodia. Passionate about social development, James has an extensive experience in project management, community missions, program design, training, and leadership. He founded transformative initiatives like Jumuisha Initiative and Alongsiders Movement in Kenya, impacting thousands of young people. In various roles, including the Kenya Education Management Institute and Africa for SDGs, James spearheaded impactful missions and reaching thousands across Africa. He continues to drive positive change, promoting education and sustainable development. Welcome, James.
Thank you so much, Dr. Enolia, for having me today.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited to have you. You bring such a plethora of different varieties of working with the community. You're an awardee. But what I want to start off with is we want to get to know James. Talk to me about James growing up and James coming into his leadership and what motivated you to want to start leading and making changes.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Enolia. I am in Nairobi, Kenya, and I'm so happy to be in this show today. That's a good question you have asked me about. I think, as you can see, I'm not that old in terms of ages. So the things you've
Yeah.
mentioned there that I've done, I would love to give them a juice of everything. So I think I've grown up in a rural area of Kenya. Kenya is in the eastern part of Africa. Um, and I found myself in high school where I was seeing my friends looking for mentorship from the churches or even youth peers, and I wanted to do something about it. So when I went to the university, I started a program. I started going to high schools for mentorship programs when I was in second year. And in that second year, I was able to reach over 20 schools in the country. So I was mobilizing friends in over the weekends in the university for visits in schools across Kenya. And I think there is where I connected with my passion on community service and volunteerism. So ever since, by the time I was in fourth year, I had already running organization. But then the name was Jumuisha Initiative. I already handed over to another team that leads it today. So ever then, that volunteerism gave me the networks that I needed at young age to learn, to be mentored, to get the right connections and linkages to even influence other peers and even to influence other departments within the government. I remember there is a time when I was fourth year, I was leading policy volunteerism development of our county government of Makuan. So I think that is where now my journey on volunteerism and community service came clear. Oh yeah, so ever since then, my journey shaped, and I chose to focus on community development as my career. And today I've been in the journey, and I'm now serving in different portfolios within Africa, something I attribute to commitment and passion. Back to you,
That's
Dr. Enolia.
That's wonderful. So first of all, you need to know that Kenya has a very special place in my heart. And I've been blessed with the great fortune of visiting Kenya in Nairobi. And actually, I walked the east and west Tsavo parks with the Maasai, 100 miles across the east and west Tsavo park. So the land is called, and it's also the land of my mother's people being the Luya tribe.
Kenya is
Kenya
beautiful. Kenya is beautiful.
It is beautiful. And in working with the people of Kenya, you've had serious projects there. And I want to delve into some of the projects that you've worked with. And I don't want to like preempt you. So I'm going to ask you to talk to us specifically about your latest project and what you did. So can you set the stage for us?
I've engaged on several projects in East Africa and Africa at large, I think around 18 countries that I've been able to travel to engage communities. There are three key projects that are very important to me that I hold so close to my heart because of the impact I saw them transform. One was Africa for SDGs Fellowship Program that we initiated and trained over 250 fellows in Africa. But then
Mhm.
after that, through that project, I was able to link up with another project we call the Death Catch project, the Death Catch,
Yeah.
you know. And I won't talk about because I was kind of attracted by the story of the Lake Victoria. I know everybody here, either anyone listening me now, has heard of Lake Victoria. It's among the largest large freshwater lakes in Africa. Yet the women living around the lake have been pushed out of the economy, like benefiting from the economy of the lake. So I think when I visited there, the first time to go there, I was going there to travel with fellows just to visit the region. And I came across this story where we had a woman there by the name Helen Kabiri just telling us that there is a very dire need for lights, solar lights for women. And we're like, what are you saying? You're saying you need solar lights. Yeah. And I think I didn't know in the first case that islands in Africa or even islands in every other part of the world, electricity access, they are cut off from the electricity grid. So you find the
Okay.
electricity is very expensive for them to afford.
Okay.
So when she explained that, we were able now to come up with the research to look into what really can we do to help a woman in this island. And Mfangano, if you can also get time to look into it, you find that Mfangano has around a population of around 38,000 people, most of which are HIV positive. So you find the HIV preference rate is so high, poverty is so high, it's cut off from the national grid, the power is very expensive. Um, the widows, people, families that have no fathers are so high. The child rate in a home, you find the one family is having like 8 children on average, or even close to that. I think which we may also need to refer again to statistics so that I may be able to give the right information. So you found there are so many issues that really existed in that island and that still exists today. So I didn't
Okay.
want just to go without doing anything, especially when that woman gave me the true feel of it and I connected with that. So through the organization I was working with, we were able to develop a program. We call it a Women in Leadership, Innovation, and Financial Literacy Program, just to empower the woman. Because we believe by empowering these women, we will have empowered the whole community. So we mapped, I think, the areas around 11 to 12 key markets. So we zoned 8 markets. Every market has around population of around 2 to 4,000 people. So we knew by the time of covering like the eighth or ninth market, we'll have covered the whole island. And remember, this island is just like 2 hours off the shores, like the mainland
Right.
to the so it's kind of far. It's not so close. And I remember the first day we were distributing the lights, it was so late, and women waited those lights from Nairobi because they got we didn't get them cleared on time, and the date was already set. So they were mobilizing. So the numbers were expecting of 500, the numbers doubled. So there were over 1,000 waiting, and it is at night, 8 p.m., and they're waiting. So they are calling me, telling me, James, if you don't come, then we will never have any other program here. They will just come and camp in our homes. Those were the
Right.
area leaders telling me, James, even if the lights come late, just make sure you arrive. So it was crazy. You can imagine us traveling on the night speedboats at night at 8 p.m.
Yes.
to catch the women, and we found them waiting. There is no woman who had left for home. So I think that gave us the true connection that the lights were really needed, and we wanted not only to give the solar light, we wanted to give a solar light with a reason. So this solar light, we had gotten a donation from an organization in the US, Words of Love, which we hold dear, very dear to this project. Um, so we pitched the idea to them, and they were like, yes, how can we support your programs as Africa for SDGs, which I used to work for then. Currently, I'm not working with them. I'm in a different organization. So they gave us the lights, and those lights are able, like fighting, when a woman is spending paraffin, and paraffin is very expensive. It's
Yes.
very expensive. So you find the money they are using during the day or the week could be around even $2. And we're like, every day, if you're spending $2 per day, how many dollars can you spend in a week? And that was around $5 to $6 in a week. We're like, if you use then this solar light, you are able to save this $6 in a week. And $6 in a week in a month can convert to some money that you can either pay school fees for your child. You can either even buy even a better solar system for your family, or you can even start a small business to feed your family, so that you're able now to focus on we call it self-resilience or sustainable living or alternative livelihoods. And that really the first time we started the project in 2021, that first year we reached about 1,500 women, and one woman, the target was, once we reach one woman, that's a possibility of reaching 5 children. So again, we're also supporting children access education. Remember, teenage pregnancies was also very high, because if children are sleeping at 7 p.m. and they're not getting enough time to socialize, and they're not getting enough time to study, so there was a very big issue here that a light would solve. So that was our take, just to see how we could just give a solar light, and the name was Words of Love. You can search them online, and you can see how they can support any other family in Africa. And thanks to them. Back to you,
Lots
Dr.
of
Enolia.
love. And I want to make sure that our audience understands, because you're saying $6. And so for those people who are in an economy where $6 is not a big deal, let me express to them how big a deal it is. So number one, when you look at USD to the Nairobi, yours is the shilling, correct? It's the Nairobi
Mm-hmm.
shilling. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The shilling doesn't, it's like hundreds of shillings, $1, correct?
Yes.
In the conversion factor, right? So if a person is used to living off of a percentage of a shilling or 50 shillings or something like that in a week, and this is hundreds of shillings, that's equivalent to a month to 2 months salary in a week for lights.
Mm-hmm.
And I just
Mm-hmm.
want to drive this point home so that people understand, because we say this in passing and people don't get it. And so in order for people to live, and the fact that those shillings, that $6 or $8 can send a child completely to school, can send a child completely to wherever they need to go in terms of eating, clothing on their back, materials for school, feeding a family. They're spending on paraffin for lights. So I want to thank the company that you named in the US. What was their name again?
We call it Words of Love. They're in the US,
Lots of
and
love.
you could reach them either on LinkedIn or Facebook, just to see how you can. They support missions in Africa. They could support.
Yes, I want to thank them. I want to personally make sure that we highlight them and thank them, because they really, really did save a village. And there are many villages that are in these situations. So again, If this interests you at all, please contact me and I will forward you to James if you want to support or just support Watts of Love also directly. James, thank you for sharing that with us. You know, I'm going to deviate and I'm going to go back to the fact that you are this young person that was motivated, highly motivated to work with the community in this way. And I want to also highlight the fact that that is a gift. And most people don't embark on their gifts. The way that we are able to show up in life, you know, some of us are artists, some of us are athletic, some of us are whatever that case may be, but the leadership and the motivation to want to help people and to want to do things for people is a gift in and of itself also. What inspired you? What happened in your life that made you want to rise to the occasion and share that gift? Because, you know, yes, there's leadership qualities that are inherent in all of us, but to bring that gift to the level by which you chose to step up to the plate, many adults don't even want to do, or something has have to happen really devastating. So share with us a little bit about that.
Oh, yeah, sure. Thank you so much. Personally, I'm a born of family of four. So at the time we were at as a personal story, it's what inspires me to do what I do. At the age of 10, my family breaks up and I don't know what's happening. And we find ourselves living in a way far away from our village where I was growing up when I was young. And I was like confused, dropped out of school. My education stopped. And all of a sudden, after 2 years break, I got back to education system and I worked hard because then the government policy changed from paid education to free education. So when I got that opportunity to go back to school, I was like, many other people out here may also need to do something. And because someone came to me and inspired me to do something, even when I was young, just to learn, because someone inspired me to do something like for myself, like, James, you have a great future. You need to go back to school and work hard because the future needs you, the world needs you. And I think those words, when I was taught that when I was so young, they pushed me to work so hard. So when I finished the university, I saw my friends and communities out there, even where I came from and where I schooled, issues around things to do with teenage pregnancies, drug abuse, and all that. And someone who had also at some point been so unprivileged, I was like, I think someone needs to act. And doesn't mean to you must be out of age to do something or to have resources to do something. I knew I have my own influence that I could influence people. So when I tried influencing at the university and I was able to mobilize over hundreds of young people for school visits and mentorship programs without money, I was like, okay, then I can tap this influence to something for civic leadership in the country. And there's where, and I talked to my parents. I told them, I know you don't have money to support me, but I believe taking a step is not the same as just accepting the way things are for other people to solve. I was like, I can do something, however little it is, it can influence someone else to join the movement. So through all that, even the jobs that I've worked, whatever I've worked, I've always believed in, if you act, if you just do something, you could influence even your own colleagues to do something. And that is what has driven me wherever I go, even for the programs I've done with the Ministry of Education, the programs I've done in Fangano Island. I do not come from Fangano Island. Fangano is on the west of Kenya, where they speak a different language, and I come from the east, where we speak different languages. But because I chose to go there and act and do something, the communities around those areas and young people around those areas that knew what we were doing joined the movement. And now they are leading the movement. We no longer go to Mfangano. They owned the project and they're already running it. It's already sustainable. So I think I would even encourage any young person out there, as even statistics are saying, young people have they have that civic passion to do something. Let them not wait for resources. I think we need to move beyond the issue of asking or waiting for donation or money, just to acting. Once we act and solve problems, I think there's always someone watching what we do. That could be the government, could be the leader next to us, and could be maybe or a sponsor organization somewhere that can support what we do. But much more is to influence others to act, and that's what I like doing. Just influencing every day. Right now, I am training the young African leaders, the yearly program in Nairobi. Leaders drawn over from over 15 countries in Africa. And I'm the youngest trainer, I'm the youngest facilitator. All the others are PhD holders. I'm just a master's student who is about to complete. So a trainer was asking me, James, how are you able to be selected as a facilitator for these leaders across Africa? And I told them it's once you have passion and once you act and do something, I think everything shapes up. So it's not been easy though. It's tough as a young person, but I thank God for the far we've come. And I encourage other young people out there to do something,
I love
whatever
it.
they
I love
are.
it. Thank you so much
Yes.
for sharing about that. I want to talk about one of your another one of your projects. Please share with us and set the stage for another one of your projects because I know you have a few of them. So will you share?
Yeah. There's a project also. Thank you so much. Love to share a project I call Ubunifu Launchpad. And this is a project that I've been going to churches and I've been going to working with also community-based organizations.
Mhm,
And if you go even to the areas where the organizations have been registered within the governments, could be either in Angola, Zambia, Kenya, Malawi, wherever, you find there are so many NGOs that are registered. You find there are so many community-based organizations. There are so many youth groups or even volunteer involving organizations. But the question I've been asking myself is, do they run programs sustainably? If these programs were doing something, these organizations were really focusing on developing communities, then would we be having the same problems that we have as Africa? And I was like, I can do something because these organizations are already mobilized. What I can do is I can mobilize experts, I can mobilize people with the knowledge to train so that we can mobilize these, especially the mushrooming organizations in the villages, in
mhm,
wherever they come, be churches, at least to empower them because they may not have the skills and the resources to apply for masters and PhD programs, or even to apply for program development and design, yet they are already mobilizing over thousands of young people. I was like, I think empowering those young leaders who are leading
mhm,
these organizations can help empower the 1,000s they are following. So we have developed, I've innovated that project, call it Ubunifu Launchpad, a project of mobilizing the community organizations, the leaderships, to empower them on program innovation, sustainability, rapid mobilization, and how to run sustainable projects. Because we don't want a situation where organizations have to rely on funding for projects. And that is a big problem we are having. For me, as an input, I want to see how can we empower other many Jameses like myself who are running many organizations, and that could be a church, could be a pastor who is leading a church congregation that is learned than himself. So, we want to see can we empower that pastor, that reverend, that leader of a masjid, or that leader of a club in the university that is mobilizing over 200 young people just to think globally and to think sustainability so that we can bring a value, a kind of a value add to whatever they are doing. And that's how now the ESD awards came in. You find every school, every university has clubs, students clubs. You find their debate
mhm.
clubs,
Yeah.
their climate clubs, their environment clubs. But what do they do? Here in Kenya, you find every club, even environment club, debate club, they are just planting trees. Yet there is so much to do about climate action, not just planting trees. So
Right.
that gap of lack of innovativeness, because what young people are saying here is we have no jobs. But if you follow up, the issue is lack of innovativeness. We have jobs, but what do? We concentrate on one area. If it's planting trees, all of us are planting trees. If it's sanitary innovation, all of us are focusing on sanitary and mental health. What if we diversified our innovations such that there are those who are looking for these others are looking the other space. And that is the gap we have mapped and realized that many youth involving organizations and many young clubs in universities and high schools do not have those skills for innovations. And therefore, the young people who are already mobilized for those clubs may not be engaging in sustainable programs. And it's a way of trying to make those clubs impactful. And that project has really supported the ministry. Initially, just to mention, you found a young person innovates a technology, right? And once they innovate this technology, the government it doesn't see the end of the day. You find either that could be any country in Africa. You find that innovation just dies in high school. What happens to that kid if the idea is not able to transform to money? Then that kid
Right.
stops innovating. They stop innovating, and in a way they say, okay, whatever, if we innovate and our ideas never bring money on the table, and it's money that is motivating us to do it, then they stop. So we're like, can we also advise the government to come up with a strategy, especially through the Ministry of Education, to award these innovative solutions in the country? If a solution is very global and very impactful, then we also recommend the ministry to see how they can pick that idea and have the child or the school test it. If it succeeds, then the project can also become an employment opportunity for the young people. So that's what we advised, and I think now the government is running the ESD awards as a way of supporting these clubs and young people who are innovating within learning institutions. And again, that program is run by Africa for SDGs and the Kenya Education Management Institute, which we also advised.
That's phenomenal. That's really, really phenomenal. And when you sit back and you look at the fact that, yes, they're not innovative, what is the education system missing? What is it that turns on that innovation through the regular education system that allows it to keep? Or is it just the fact that it's missing in the education system? So therefore, we're catching students at a later age when the window has already been missed, and we have to double back and figure out these ways to fulfill the gap that should have taken place in the education system early on in the first place? Is it the fact that we're missing arts and what arts and innovation, in the education system? Because one of the things that I notice I'm here in Angola, and one of the things that I realize about the education system here, at least in Angola, is that the extracurricular activities that would afford you to use your imagination and use the things that would have you think out of the box, that are creativity, are missing in the educational system. I have my nieces and nephews come over here, and we sit down and we play music, and we draw, and that gets them to think outside of, like, this is what I have to do, here are my chores, here's what I have to do, right? And they love coming over here, and they'll come over here every day just to draw, just to play music, just to do these things that they don't typically get their hands on when they're in school or when they're at home or whenever. What are your thoughts on that?
Wow, that's amazing. First, let's say education really in Africa could be very diverse. Education systems in East Africa could be different in the north and the south. But
Yes.
speaking from the context of East Africa here, especially Kenya, where I come from, I think at least the government has done amazing. They have now kind of evolved from the earlier system of, we call it 844, where you go for eight years primary level, 4 years secondary school education, and then 4 years in the university higher education. Now we have a different system that gives uh, students enough time to learn on kind of sustainability or relevant skills that they need to survive. But you mentioned something important in your kind of question, the previous question, that where did we miss that window? I think personally, because I'm a beneficiary of 844, I had missed a window. Because you find you are passionate about law, but because you didn't get points that would take you to the university to study law, you find yourself studying teaching, or you find yourself doing something very opposite, and it's not your choice. And again, the issues of parents, parental messages, the early messages we get from our parents. I think for me, that's the biggest thing I would say. Because even when I was growing up, you find parents are telling you, hey, you need to work hard, you need to become a doctor. You know, you grow up with that skill of, I want to get the best grades so that I can become a doctor. But that's not the passion you have. It's the what your
Right.
parents have fed in your brain. I think I would blame that um, our cultures of competitiveness is how our parents, you find this neighborhood, these parents telling your kids, you need to work hard, not to be like that farmer there. You know, that also creates a perception of some jobs are bad. So I would say I would hold that to our parents. When I go
Mm.
tell my mom, remember, I wish you just let me do what I wanted to do when I was first degree. I would be so far today because I've just gotten this track when I am studying my master's program. So it was kind of 4 years wasted, and I'm now getting track later on in life when I have my own money to do what I can do. That small cash. So I think I would say how we learn African culture, the parents, early messages is a very big thing. I think that's something I would pull for now, pick for now. And then maybe we also say the education system that we have, maybe in many countries in Africa, is not offering relevant skills for young people to survive in the current needs of the world. So I think as we go on and people and ministries adopt the for sustainable development, even the window that we had missed earlier on, people are also able now to learn on sustainability, skills, vocational skills. So that how I saw it affect myself was I was very innovative in high school. I had innovated actually a animal watering system where animals, cows would just step on something and then the water flows, and then they take the water and they unstep and then water stops flowing. So when I went to the university, my idea never came back again in terms of like implementing it. So I had that because I was the best in our region. We call it Makweni region, the entire region, and the idea had gone to the national level, but it never gave anything in return or even inspire us to continue doing, because we all took, because it was a group work, we all took a different path for education. I went to pursue communications. My colleagues went to uh, commerce, others went to economics. So it was kind of, we've left our idea, our innovation idea in the high school level. So we chose to, I think what I did, I was like, I need to come up with something later on in life to see how I can contribute and speak the Ministry of Education on innovation, just to advise it on what can we do to empower these young people. And through that, coming up with that project of education systems in Africa. I don't know how, I've not explored many in the world. I want to explore that, but at least I've been lucky to interact with the ESD policies of the world by the UNESCO, that is championing young people to learn to use education as a means to achieve sustainability. I think that's something that we need to encourage everybody out here. And the good thing about it is you don't have to be a student. You don't have to be in school to learn about sustainability and how to survive or how to live virtuously. It's an issue of anyone, anyone in the world, whether you are old, whether you are young, our parents, even teaching our parents on innovations at home, simple ideas they can do to survive, because it's a big thing. Over time, people have grown up with, I must get money. Even my own time, myself, I usually sometimes argue with my mom because she's telling me every time to give her money, money, money to pay for this and this. And I'm telling her, Mom, can we save some money for you to do something so that you're able to sustain yourself? And I think if that conversation started when we are young, even for our parents, then this population of the millennials who are working would not also be going through so much headache, because I'm sure even the people listening to me right now, you could be working and 9 people are depending on you. You could be earning, you are a doctor, you're earning some good salary, either somewhere you're teaching, but by the end of the day at home, people are depending on you as so many. And because either the education we have gone through has not helped us live sustainably, has not helped us live virtuously. And my call to action is, as a champion of sustainability, is could you be out there in the community or wherever you are? Do you have any skill? Do you have any vocational skill? Do you have any sustainability skill that can help you live virtuously? How do you use resources at home? How do you spend your own salary, that small salary we have? How do we spend it? But at the end of the day, once we know how to live sustainably, then we can push and drive Africa to the next level. Our lives and even the people around us, and can transform Africa if we all act and do something about it.
Excellent, excellent. So knowing that we're coming up on an hour for the podcast, what would be the last few words that you would like to leave our audience with, and then how they can get in contact with you?
All right, thank you so much. I think one of the things that I would speak to my people and anyone following us and listening us today is that I have seen the power of influence. As long as you have something that can transform some, you just need to do it, and do it passionately and in the right way. In the right way and passionately. Why I'm saying so is many of the networks I have gotten are the people I have trained. I go train a team of 30, and 10 of them goes do something where they come from. And 1 year down the line, someone tells me, James, if it were not the training that you did to us in Nairobi or in Mombasa or in Tanzania, I would not have done this and this and this. And that when I hear stories of young people, what they are doing, even when I don't know, when they just reach later on and they, hey, James, I've already gotten this opportunity with the UN. I've already gotten even this opportunity with this and this, most of which opportunities are even better than where we are serving or what we are doing today. That encourages me to do whatever I do today. So I look forward to working with anyone, any youth group, any organization, any institution across Africa that needs us to support them to come up with sustainable models, or even to mentor their young people and leaders on sustainability and how we can scale it in our communities and nations. I'm accessible either on email, and my email is, I'm also on LinkedIn, James Munyao. I'm on Twitter, X, that is James Munyao again. I'm also on Facebook, James Munyao. You can write me a message. Let's interact, let's network, let's learn from each other. I look forward to your impacting also the world, and I wish you all the best as you serve Dr. Enolia. And everybody watching us, I wish you all the best. Thank you for having me today. Back to you.
Thank you so, so much, James. I'm so grateful for having you on. This has been another episode of The Infinite Way, where spirituality meets humanity, and the inspiring story that you just heard from James Munyao. If you feel so touched, please share his story. Please look for his information in the description box, contact him and reach out. And if this story has moved you, please, please, please subscribe. subscribe and learn and hear about the many stories across Africa, across the world that are taking place right here, that inspire you and that allow you to engage. So thank you so much, James Munyao, and thank you to our studio audience, and subscribe and like us, and we'll see you next time for another episode. Take care.